Food has become a physical need of our life. But have you ever think of how many foods are wasting every day? In this video, we will discuss the food waste topic in the case of China. There are 4 aspects of food waste issues to be covered. The first step is to have a comprehensive understanding of the current situation in China. Then we will investigate the root cause and analyze the impact of food waste. Finally, we will provide the most suitable solutions for the hospitality industry on how to minimize the food waste. Food waste refers to the food appropriate for human consumption being discarded, whether or not after it is over the expiry date or left to spoil. There are also other reasons, such as the oversupply due to markets or individual consumer eating habits. According to the incomplete statistics, the global volume of the food waste is estimated at 1.6 billion tons of the primary product equivalents. Total food waste for the edible part of this amount is up to 1.3 billion tons. China produces up to 18 million tons of the food waste every year. The waste is enough to feed about 15 million people. The worth is estimated up to 32 billion USD. The food waste carbon footprint is estimated at 3.3 billion tons of the CO2, equivalent of the GHG released into the atmosphere every year. The amount of water per year using for the food waste is about 250,000 cubic meters, 3 times of the Lake Geneva. Moreover, 1.4 billion hectares of the land, approximately equal to 28% of the world's agricultural area, is used annually, becoming the food waste. How does China handle the food waste? The studies show these mountains of food waste are rarely recycled. In Beijing, less than 10% of food waste produced daily are reused. Only a small part of food waste was used to compost, while most of the waste was sent to the landfills or incinerations, causing a huge amount of solid waste. The methane emissions from landfills represent one of the most enormous sources of GHG emissions coming from the food waste sector. The home composting can potentially divert up to 150 kg of food waste per household per year from the local collections authorities. The most direct economic consequences of the food waste are estimated up to 750 billion annually, not include the fish and the seafood. In general, China is in trouble with the food waste issues. Have you ever thought what makes it happen?
We did a search about it and we found that pre-consumer and post-consumer are 2 main aspects of the root cause of food waste issues. The most common cause is unidentified demand, because the kitchen operators is difficult to accurately estimate the number of the guests. And many restaurants choose to prepare ingredients that exceed actual demand. This is the reason for overstocking. Over-prioritizing merchandising is because operators want their merchandising products to stay fresh, beautiful, and plentiful. This can result in a lot of products wasted by the end of the day. And about food safety, as we know, food with any issues regarding timing, temperature, or handling should be discarded for consumer health reasons. Poor communication also causes food waste. Communication between the front and the back of the house is very important, because the wrong information can lead to mistakes in food production. Store behavior. In the production of food, the chef may not use 100% of the ingredients. The processing of the remaining ingredients may result in food waste. The last cause is unskilled trimming. Vegetables, fresh fruits, and meat need to go through trimming and preparing phase to be ready for use. Unskilled employee skills can be wasteful. And move to post-consumer, the first reason is large portion sizes. The food provided by the restaurants is more than the customer's needs. How about the inefficient service model? We know self-service food points such as cafeterias, buffet restaurants usually need to provide enough food at the meal times, but the needs of the guests are far from what they are prepared for. Also, customers' menu acceptance can contribute to waste. When customers do not enjoy some part of the condiments or some certain ingredients, they usually refuse to finish their meals. After knowing the current situation in China and figure out the root causes, it is necessary to understand the impacts. In the first half of the video, the situation of food waste in China has been analyzed, and it turned to a result that the existence of food waste has a strong impact on both the environment and water resources. When a food item gets discarded, all resources that are used to produce them go to waste too, such as land, water, fertilizers, pesticides, and fuel for tractors, as well as the carbon footprints that the transportation phase causes. Once a food item is wasted, it brings to waste a huge amount of carbon footprints, energy, water, and other natural resources. The activity of transporting food waste to the landfill heavily requires a huge amount of fossil fuels and creates air pollution from the emission. At the same time, food waste that occurs during processing, distribution, and consumption damages the environment dramatically too, as it hits to the landfills or incinerators, leading to many downstream environmental consequences. Due to the major impacts caused by wasting food, there are so many hotels and restaurants throughout the world that are working towards zero waste in their business practices. For instance, the UK-based Pret a Manger food chain has focused on ways to use the food left on the shelf at the close of business each day, which led to their earliest community-based work distributing leftover food to homeless charity in London. Through the development of its Pret charity run, the company now achieves food waste of just 2.8%, which compared to the UK average around 30% is exceptionally good. Bread employees are also encouraged to take unsold food home at the end of the day. It's seen as one of the perks of being on the closing shift. Bread donates 1.7 million food items to the homeless across the UK every year. By donating this unsold food to charity, Bread diverts up to 250 tons of food from landfill every year, which is about 7 garbage trucks. That food wastage connects to climate change due to the excessive amount of greenhouse gas emissions, the amount of pesticide and herbicide farmers spray into the soils. It will lead to groundwater contamination and surrounded environment in the long term. Food wastage does not only create environmental impacts, but also leads to many financial impacts on overall operations. Particularly, there are 4 main financial costs created when food gets discarded in the kitchen. First, raw material cost is the money used for purchasing ingredients. Second, labor cost used during food production. Third, energy cost used for kitchen as well as the serving phase. Fourth, food waste disposal cost, payment for the garbage hauling companies to come and collect food waste.
It is impossible to eliminate 100% of the food waste in the hospitality industry. However, the hotel can control the food waste if they can understand the source of the waste in the restaurant and provide the suitable directions to minimize the food waste. This is a food waste hierarchy. It shows how people manage the waste in the different levels. The worst thing people do to the food waste is to throw them away to the landfill. In the next levels, people can recycle the food for the energy, feed the animals, or donate to the hungry people. And the best actions to handle the food waste is the prevention. The best way to limit the food waste is to check where the waste comes from. Therefore, the restaurant should have a checking area before throwing the food to the garbage. In the checking area, there is a machine to check the amount of food waste and record it to the system. This is a food waste tracking machine. These machines allow us to collect the data on the food waste and see the trend of waste in the restaurant. From the system, the restaurant can track where the issues come from, which stations, and who is in charge. Lastly, the machine will help to raise the employee awareness because the system can follow who is responsible for the waste, so the staff will be more careful when they deal with the food. This is how the tracking system looks like. The machines can measure the weight, the volumes of the food waste, the ingredients, the type of food, and the reason people throw them away. We can also measure the source, the place of food waste, and the waste value. From the data collections, the restaurant can review and set a goal or the direction to prevent the food waste. For example, they can make a change or balance on the menu. The restaurant can cut the food that people do not like in the menu and they can balance the purchase from the supplier. If the issues come from the employee, the hotel can train the kitchen or F&B staff to handle the food better. In conclusion, food waste is a global challenge not only in China because it has an enormous negative impact on the economy and environment. Food waste comes from the pre-consumer and the post-consumer reasons. However, by using the tracking system, the hotel can analyze the root of food waste and minimize the consequences.